dropped just for a fraction of a second. We got it replaced and still had that problem. And the thought was, well, maybe still had that problem. Maybe there's that. And they took it over to a friend's house who has a 9 took it over to a friend's house who has a master's in electrical engineering. And
Oi, Steve. Oi, Steve. Oi, Steve. Oi, Steve. Oi, Steve.
Again, I just use
Oi, Steve.
too hot. The band's next to the noise too hot. Headphones, so that's not really so much of an issue. So with regards to the 6400M, I was able to buy a 6400M. I was able to buy a UK and 6400M. And I don't use more than 2 slices. Most of the time I don't use 2. I just use 1. Occasionally, you know, if there's something split, I'll use it. So I don't really use that. I don't use the remote feature either. So it's more just kind of when you get into SDR and having the buttons and the display and all on the radio itself. I only use the computer for logging with ham radio.
Live from the canyons of Vermont, it's amateur radio station K1GMM, where zip ties and duct tape are a man's best friend and cheese is always extra.
Hey, what's going on, you guys? How you doing, K1GMM? We're gonna try this, see how this goes. Let me minimize the SDR console, get Jitsi up on the screen, and we've got 2 logged in. I had a video feed on you, Greg, but lost it, and there's another person in there, no ID with him. This technology is wonky. I figured I'd give it a shot. Even if I have audio, that's okay. So I'll address the stream here. John, how's it going? 9 Alpha 3 Golf Victor Delta, hola. And Greg, of course. Glenn, good to see you. Joe Wilson, good to see you, man. I figured I'd try this. I know this was kind of unscheduled. For those of you wishing to jump in on Jitsi, the link is right there in the chat. Go to that link. Don't forget to put your call sign or your name. If you're not licensed, it's okay. You don't have to be licensed to jump in here. This is really geared, and put your name in there, and then go ahead and log on, and I'll see it on the Jitsi screen. So I figured I want to start playing with this stuff. This is geared for new hams, people who may have just upgraded, or people who don't even have their license yet. Yeah, it'd be a great opportunity for them to see and to chat with hams that have messed around with antennas. And we're going to go through, I figured we'll start a whole series. We'll do antennas, do some things on antennas, we'll do some things on transceivers, all the different options available. So there's Martin. Good Lord. Hey, what's going on, dude? And anybody jumping in on Jitsi, don't forget to mute the audio on YouTube. This will be piped direct to YouTube, but if your audio's hot on YouTube and Jitsi as well, you'll get a loop, and all hell break loose probably. So anyways, that's what I figured we'll try and pull off here. Give people, you know, you guys hear about me, what's going on with me all the time. So I figured it would give other people an opportunity to jump in and to see what other operators are using, why they're using it, and how they found it as far as from a performance aspect. So there was something I was going to mention, actually. I'm not sure what I... Oh, yeah. So, I had an issue today with the 40-meter array, and what ended up happening was I couldn't figure out why the paracord broke, because it's not that old. It's only been up since a year. You should get a few years out of it. And what I do is on the arrays and anything I put up pretty much, if it's strung between two trees, I run a pulley. So let me show you guys how I do this. And this is, most people know this, but this is for like new hams. So, and for folks who had never hung an antenna, whether it be a dipole, doublet, OCF, an array, wire beam, whatever. So you've got, and you're going to have to excuse my artwork here. It's going to be pretty hack. So what you got, let me make sure you can see this. The light is a little weird. So you got two trees here, right? So you want to put up an antenna between two trees. How do you do that and keep it from being torn apart in the wind? Because if you, let's say you were to connect one end of the antenna to here, one end to here, as the trees sway back and forth, it's going to tear the antenna apart. So how the heck do you do that? So what I do, so let's say you have the antenna here. Let's say it's a regular dipole. Could be anything, any piece of wire. So what I do is I connect a piece of paracord to a pulley. So you got a pulley, and you can do it only on one end. I usually run them on both ends, with a piece of paracord up and over the tree. So if you see this, okay, this is easier to see. So if you see this, you've got a pulley. What I do is I connect a piece of paracord. I use an antenna launcher, put a piece of paracord up and over the tree and then down, and I connect it off. So the pulley's on the end, right? So now what you do is you go from the end of the antenna through the pulley and down. So you see the X right here is the end of the antenna. It could be a dipole, whatever. You send a piece of paracord through that pulley and then down, and you suspend a block at the end of it. And what that allows it to do is as the trees move back and forth, the antenna free floats in the pulley. Well, what I had happen was the pulley was laying on the ground, and here's a lesson for anyone. We had a lot of rain last week, and the temperature went right in the dumper. And what happened was the block was actually on the ground, and it froze into the ground. And we had high winds last night, so the trees are whipping back and forth. The block can't move, and it literally sawed right through the paracord that holds the pulley itself. So that's basically it. That's what happened. So I spent my morning, grabbed the antenna cannon, fired a new line over the tree, and basically restrung it, and all is well. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor. So we got Greg in here. Greg, oh, this is one more thing I wanted to show you guys. Okay. We're talking about antennas here, and specifically the antennas I run at the house. Right. So here you have a traditional coax switch. Okay. One of the particular antennas I run is dependent on port-to-port isolation, okay? And what I mean by that is it's a parasitic type of antenna, and it uses a specific stub length to load the parasitic element, turning it into a reflector. So it makes it look electrically longer than it physically is, okay? and I'm not going to go into detail. I'll deal with that stuff when I go through the antenna system, which I'm putting together a presentation on that. I've had you guys ask me, what the heck are you running? So I'm going to do a complete detailed thing on that. So port-to-port isolation, the problem with a traditional coax switch, right? You have your different ports here. The problem is that the port-to-port isolation is actually minimal in the sense that you have the shield, which is the barrel of these connectors, an SO259, PL259 that goes into these SO239s. The shield is common between these ports. Now that won't work on a parasitic array. You have to isolate the shields and the center pins. So a traditional coax switch will not work. Now on a phased array, a traditional coax switch will work fine. So what I do is, and I will get into this later, I build a double pole, double throw switch out of, let's see if I can find it, I'll show you. So I use a lot of cutting board. Cutting board is your friend in this hobby. This is just plastic cutting board. So take this coax switch off, and what I do is I construct a double pole, double throw switch. You can pick this up in any big box hardware store. It's copper, and you can solder to it. And what I do is I make a double pole, double throw switch, basically a knife switch out of this. And you put a bolt through it, and again, I will go through exactly how to put one of these together on the cheap. Uses a regular 12 volt DC motor drive. Let me grab that. So here's just a regular old 12 volt DC motor drive you can buy off of Amazon, 10 to 15 bucks. Get them as low RPM as you can. You can find them at 2 RPM sometimes. Sometimes 10 RPM works good. Now you can use relays to do this, but I'm too cheap and too lazy. So let's say you've got two of these, right? And they're connected to, one is your center pin and the other one is the shield. And it's laid out on a piece of did I do that right? It's tough to see it because of the light. So you've basically got a double pole, double throw knife switch, which toggles back and forth like this. And you take this and you cut off a piece and you fold it back on yourself, and that's the contacts. And then you just screw it to the cutting board. So you take this motor drive, use a brass coupler, goes on here. Then you take a piece of fiberglass rod, because remember the port-to-port isolation is critical for these. So basically this connects to the motor drive. The motor drive switches back and forth, and you run just a reversible switch in the shack, and it works great. It'll do everything you need it to do on the cheap. So, and it's actually far exceeds the port-to-port isolation on a coax switch, even if you were running it as a phased array. That's why I like building these, because they're actually better than going with and coax switches are expensive. So you can build this for, you can build a bunch of these for next to nothing. Most expensive part is the motor, and of course the wire to get it from your antenna to the shack. So that's it. Excuse me. So anyways, that's enough out of my fat yap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the floor. It looks like we got a good feed on Martin. So Martin, I'm going to let you rip. Let her rip and tell us what you run for an antenna, why you chose that, and how you found it to be regarding receive. Any details you can provide, that would be hugely helpful. And you'll get no comment from me, but I'll basically open it up if anybody wants to ask you questions. Have at it. So let me put it over to Martin, and I will pull the Jitsi chat up. So there's a chat. Martin, go ahead. And again, this is K1GMM for anybody watching. My name is Steve in the southwest corner of Vermont. Martin, it's all yours, buddy. And don't forget to unmute your microphone, Martin. You guys, you're muted by default. So go ahead and unmute your microphone. I hear nothing on Martin. Let's go to Greg. Greg, are you in there? Go ahead, give us some audio. I have no video feed on you, Greg, by the way. Go ahead and take it. This may be a bust. I don't hear anything. Greg, are you there? Goddard, take it. Jitsi. Oh. There's Martin, go ahead. I've got video on.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, Greg, go ahead, man.
Martin, go ahead. I've got video on.
I'm here.
Okay, Greg, go ahead, man.
Sorry, I lost connection. I've just come back in the room. Sorry, I lost connection. I've just come back in the room.
Okay, you guys, don't forget.
I've got no audio on my side. I've only got it coming through the PC.
Okay, Greg, you should have audio from me. Don't forget to mute the audio on YouTube because it's looping.
You should have audio from me.
I've got no audio from you at all.
Oh, no audio from me. Okay.
Oh, I have now.
Okay.
I've got audio from Martin.
Yeah, audio from me.
Okay, you two. You guys go ahead.
Some as well.
You guys go ahead and take it. Converse amongst yourselves.
Audio's gone.
Tell Steve your audio's gone.
Okay. See if I can.
It was there, and it's disappeared.
Okay, you should have audio on me now. Do you have audio?
That's gone again.
This is carnage. Okay, I just switched it over to the Tascam, so you should have audio on me through Jitsi. Martin, Greg, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, you got it. All right, Greg, go ahead and take it. I have no video from you, Greg, but go ahead and take it and then put it over to Martin. And I'm assuming you know what we're talking about. So go ahead and share with everybody what's going on with your antennas. Over? Over.
No, I have an high-end fed 22-meter long wire. It's a similar setup to Martin's, actually. I've seen the photograph on the Facebook page.
Yeah, mine are terrible. They're bending around and we're not good.
Okay, Greg, why did you go with the NFED? Remember, kind of keep in mind, this is for guys that are new, just coming in, or they're looking for antenna options. So go ahead and tell. Go ahead.
I went for the NFED because I've not got a license yet. I'm listening at the moment. I can transmit on it 25 watts maximum, and it'll do me until I pass my foundation course, which I started last Monday. So the antenna is good enough for what I'm using it at the minute. I'm only using it to listen, not to transmit, and that's working all bands.
Okay, now are you planning on going to a different antenna once you, or are you going to start the testing process? I would not poo-poo the NFEDs. I was listening to a guy on an NFED, this was this morning, and he was roaring in here. They do work really well, so I'm just curious as to where you're going from here. Are you going to run it for a while on transmit, or are you going to immediately start to jump to something else?
Immediately jump to something else, either a cobweb. Well, yes, the idea is have a cobweb that can go on the side of the house, and that will be at just above roof level, and then a wire for 40 and 80 meters. That's what I intend to do.
Okay, gotcha. Cobweb, I've heard a lot about those. I don't know much about them. Can you explain what bands they cover? And I think they're 20 and up, aren't they?
I'm not 100% clued up on them, but some have 7 bands, some have 5 bands. But I'm sure they haven't got the 40 and the 80 on there. But a hex beam would be too big for, I think the diameter of the hex beam is 22 feet, and that'll annoy the neighbours, so that's out of the question for me. But no, I don't know a lot about the cobweb, but it'll cover most bands. It'll be out the way above the roof, plus yeah, I'll have the wire for the 40 and the 80.
Okay, I'll just throw this in there really quick. I was working a station on 40 earlier. He was on a vertical, and we talk a lot about the difference between vertical and horizontal polarizations, and it was quite a stark difference. I'm horizontally polarized, and he's vertical. He was down in Virginia, I believe. And it was, so that's something to consider. Verticals are nice because they're compact and you can kind of sneak them in. Now, have you thought about an inverted L?
Yes, I have. Yeah, but I've only got, I'm trying to think now. The length of my garden is 18 meters exactly. Yeah, it's just a matter of experimenting to see what I can fit in. Yeah, see what I can fit in basically. But only 18 meters long, Steve. So I haven't got that much room.
Okay.
Experimenting to see what I can fit in. Yeah, to see what I can fit in basically. Only 18 meters long, Steve.
Sorry about that. I think that was my fault. Okay, whoever's connected, don't forget to mute the YouTube audio. I think we've got a loop going, and I think that may be John. John, yeah, make sure your YouTube audio is muted. This is kind of a trick.
Testing 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, John, you're in there. It's working.
It's working. How's it going, Steve?
Good. How are you, John? Good to see.
Fair play.
Good to see you.
Steve,
you hear me? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hold on a second. Let me put it back to Greg real quick, and you can tie it off, Greg. And the cobweb. I've read a lot about them on like EHAM and stuff, and guys really like those. So I think you'll be happy. The hex beam, yes, it has about 11-foot turning radius. I have a hex here, a homebrew hex, and it's about 11 feet. It's not really that big. I don't know how big a cobweb is, but it's pretty small. You know, it's light, it's tiny. Let me let you share any last thoughts there, Greg, and then I'm going to put it over to Martin and then over to John. Greg, go ahead, K1GMM.
Steve, I'm new to this amateur radio. I've been on 11 meters for many years, but I decided to do my foundation course. I've bought myself the Kenwood TS 590 SG, and it's just a learning process from now on.
That is exactly why we're here, Greg. That's why we're here. And there's some looping going on. I'm not sure where that's coming from. So you guys, one of you guys may have to mute your YouTube audio. Put it over to Martin. Take it, buddy. All yours, and then over to John.
Oh, thanks. Drop me in it. I was tuning around on my radio.
No audio here.
Yeah, you in there, Martin? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in here. Going up and down here. It keeps going out. You hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we hear you, Martin, but somebody's got a loop going, I think, or there's noise in the background. Let me see who that is. John, go ahead and mute your microphone. EI2EBB.
Yeah, it's muted on YouTube. But I think that's it. Can you hear me there?
Okay, John. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. There's a mute button on the screen there somewhere. Go to, I think, you'll see the top right-hand corner, three buttons. Click on those buttons and click mute.
Very top right, is it?
Okay, I got you muted. John, you're muted. Hang on, John. I'll bring Martin in. John, you're going to have to unmute it, though. Go ahead, John. Or Martin, I'm sorry. Martin, it's all yours, buddy. Take it.
That's it. Yeah, maybe if you want to try and do it, so basically what Martin is more useful than now, mind you, but you got a lot more garden than I got. My garden is 25 foot by 18 feet, and it's like 25 foot, obviously off from the way the wire goes across. And that works perfectly fine for me. I put it in low signals. My signal's actually booming through right now.
Hello.
Okay, Martin. Okay, you guys, hold on. Don't key up until it's ready. John, keep your audio muted, dude. Keep it muted because it's looping. There you go. There you go. You got it, buddy. All right, Martin. What is the reason why you went with that? And what is the... How have you found it? How many different antennas did you put it up against? Did you try other things? Go ahead.
Yeah, I had, well, my garden is real small. It's, I say, 25 by 18, and I've got 25 by 25 on the side. I ran the antenna from the very furthest point on the garden. It ran 6 foot up from the ground, up and onto the top of the fence, along the fence, running about 60 odd feet along the fence. And then that was okay, but the inverted L, well, partially U-shaped, is running a lot better and picking up a lot better.
Okay, now the inverted L, how have you found that? Like, you know, there's a lot of stuff online and you read a lot of stuff and you see a lot of guys talking about how the inverted L is really a DX antenna. And I've really found the inverted L on 160 meters to, yes, that is absolutely true. It is not an NVIS antenna. It's actually abysmal for anything NVIS. seems like it works better. It works exponentially better out to, like, 1,500 miles, 3,000, 4,000 miles. Stations in close, I found I've had a hard time working. Like, I'll give you an example. I can run 5 to 20 watts to complete a contact on FT8 on 160 meters with a station out, let's say 500 to 1,500 miles, but a station right around me, let's say 100, 200, 300 miles, it takes twice the power or more to get that same contact on the inverted L. Have you found the same thing?
Found exactly the same thing. It's not NVIS, but then it all depends on the length that you've got running across the top. Not the vertical, it's what's running across the top. Obviously, you've got a longer wire running it up sort of like 30 foot, and then you've got another 60 or 70 foot running horizontal. Horizontal. I'm getting horizontals and verticals mixed up. Running horizontal, then you've got more to there.
Now, what's the ratio you found on the inverted L? That seems to be like the real sweet spot. I've heard people say, well, they do have an NVIS element to them, depending on how much of the wire is running across the top, but I don't believe that, because I've got 60 feet going vertical and 76 feet going horizontal, and you'd think that thered be some NVIS component to it, but it's really just a cap hat, isn't it? Capacitance hat, that's all it is, right?
Yeah, yours is quite high. A friend of mine, he's a 2E0 ERX. We did the test at the same time. He's runs up somewhere in the region of 9 meters to the wire, and then it runs off and slopes down roughly to about 3 to 4 meters high at the other end. So it's lower to the ground.
Ah, and does that have a good NVIS component to it, or is it really still, not so much?
Yeah, he gets closer contacts to what I do. And my highest point is at 11 meters.
Wow. Okay. So what you're saying is basically maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot, because what I'm trying to figure out here is with the nature of 160, now I know the other bands are different, but 160 meters is kind of like the redheaded stepchild, isn't it? As far as DX goes, it's weird. It's a weird band, and it's a tough band to make a living on DX wise. But I'm almost thinking, why am I going to sit here and fight to make a contact for hours on end, let's say 3,000 to 5,000 miles, when I can talk to anybody in Ragchew within a 500-mile radius on 160? The problem is the antenna I have it's not designed for that. So what do I go to from here? Could I actually go lower, extend the top section out further, and let's say go up 50 feet instead of 60 or 45 feet and extend the horizontal section out? Would that actually help me? Go ahead.
From what I know, so I've been licensed a year now, but from what I've understood through watching videos with Callum's M0, with his videos, he did a dipole section and he ran it along the bush when he was on holiday. And he was getting a lot of NVIS from that. And a lot of people have said NVIS with a long wire, the closer to the ground, the more NVIS you get.
Mm-hmm.
Wire, I don't know. I'm not experienced with it yet. So I've been licensed a year. I'm not totally clued up. But what I've got is all I can do and all I can put as high as possible. When I was first licensed at the M6, I had 43 feet of wire wrapped around a fishing pole, and that was getting me into the States no problem in November.
That's hilarious. I have a friend that was running a 20-meter helical dipole. It was only, 10 feet long, 12 feet long, and I don't know how many windings of wire he had on this thing. And he used to run on digital modes with that and make contacts all over the place, leaning up against the wall on his porch. You know, so it's one of those things like whatever works, go with it. But I'm torn because I don't have any more room here. I don't know what to put up. 160 is a tough band, you know, so what do I put up that I can actually fit in here that's not going to interact with anything else? It looks like Greg disconnected. So anyways, let me put it over to John. John, if you're still in there, I lost the video feed on you. There you are. Oh, you're gone. Put it over to John. Go ahead, take it, dude. Give us the rundown and let us have it. Both barrels, both triggers, over.
Testing 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, it's kind of an embarrassing story, really. I'm licensed since 1991. That's kind of like 26 years ago. I've only been recently on HF. Been on 2 meters mainly back in the day and 77s, but only recently on HF. And I got myself the same rig as you. I see 7300. So I've been on HF about November. So it was an early Christmas present to myself there. So I have a G5 RV up, but I've only managed to get into, well, the furthest contact was Moscow. So it's like 3,000 kilometers. Haven't made it into the US at all yet. So every time I see you online and I looking around for a QSO, I tune to the same channel, but I can hear nothing. So USA to me is I'm not there yet. So I'm watching all the other guys on YouTube there and trying to learn more, trying to teach myself more, or CW, and you know, I know the letters, but I have to go and get myself a key and start tapping out. I mean, no point just listening to them, and I got to get a key to start practicing myself now as well. But once I pass that, they'll give me more a couple of hundred more watts now, and then maybe with a good aerial, I'll get into the States. But as for the moment now, I haven't managed to get across the water yet. So it's the dream. So we'll see how it goes.
Now, how much power are you allotted? You are what? Are you intermediate, technically, John? So that would be what, 50 watts?
There's only 2 classes over here in Ireland, Class A and B. So obviously the 3-letter call sign is on B, and it's on. I'm not sure what the rig here. The Icon 7200 only puts out 100 watts. So that's what I have at the moment.
Gotcha. I got a loop going. Oh, yeah, you're gonna have to mute. You're gonna have to mute, John.
Okay, cheers.
Okay, John. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, thanks for all that. Put it. The power game's a tough thing. Like getting into the States. You know, if you've got, what'd you say you've got at your disposal right now, 25 or something like that, or 100? I can't remember. Yeah, it's going to come down to the antenna. I'm curious as to how much room. How much room do you have, John? Go ahead and unmute your microphone. What do you got for room there at your QTH?
Yeah, QTH is garden is about, let's say 100 meters down, maybe 70 meters by about 30. So at the moment I have a full-size G5 RV, and so that's I mean, at some stage I'd like to get a beam up, but yeah, full-size G5 RV is what I'm working on at the moment.
Gotcha. Yeah, that'll work good for you for sure, dude. You get that thing up there if you can get it up high enough. I'm not sure what your location is like as far as height above average terrain, but yeah, height is might and location. It's just what I found out. I have tried to fight that beast I've pulled out every sword and every flamethrower and every possible tool that I can muster to cheat the laws of physics, and you can't. You can't. Location has a lot to do with it. You know, you can run just an OCF. Just throw up an OCF if you're up high somewhere and you work the entire world. If you're down in a hole, like when I go topside, good Lord, I hear things on a magnetic loop or a dipole, or even on the mobile whip in the car, which is only 6.5 feet long. I hear things up there that I don't hear down here on a hex beam at the home station. So, you know, that kind of proves the point. Now, there are things that can be done, right, to improve your signal, even if you are down in a hole, but usually it takes quite a bit of fiddling to, you know, get it up to speed. But all is not lost. I'll put it over to Greg. You want to pick it back up again? And then if you guys have any questions for either of you, let me go ahead and just open that up. And I'll put it over to Greg first. Go ahead.
You were saying that the hex beam is 11 foot in diameter. Is that correct?
Yeah, the hex beam has an 11-foot turning radius. So I have, let me think about. So when you put the spreaders on, right, and it's completely configured, its turning radius is actually about 11 feet, which isn't bad. And I was looking at the chat. Yeah, a hex, who was it? Jared. Yeah, Jared mentioned it's tough to beat the hex, dude. It is really tough. I've been running.
If that's the size of it, I could do it, no problem. I thought it was wider than that, but no, I could do that, no problem.
Now, okay, see, here's the catch. If you think of radius, that's from the center out, right? Yeah, so it's big. So it's got an 11-foot turning radius. So the perimeter of the elements from the center post are 11 feet. So yeah, it'd be roughly what, 22 feet in diameter?
22 foot. Yeah. But up in the air, it might. The garden's 21 foot wide.
Ew. 21. Well, you'd have to, yeah, it would take a little shoehorning to get it up in the air. It's not big, though. It looks big when you first see it, but I just had mine down because I had a bad, something happened to the rotator, so I had to take it down and fuss with it this week. And boy, it's light. I was just talking to a friend of mine on All-Star this morning, and I think it's basically 6 Shakespeare Wonder Poles and what, 33 feet of wire for a monobander. Yeah. And a hub. I built the hub. I welded it together. It's basically 1/2-inch galvanized tubing on a piece of top rail, 2 feet long. So I bet the entire antenna weighs between 10 and 14 pounds. I mean, it's feather light. You can lift it with your pinky. Over. Oh, I think Greg puked. His link puked. Oh, you're in there, Greg. Go ahead.
I'm here. I've just come back. Sorry, I missed the last minute of what you were saying, the last 45 seconds.
Okay, I figured the hex weighs, I would say, between 10 and 14 pounds, the one I built. It's built on six Shakespeare Wonder Poles. The hub is a piece of top rail with 1/2-inch galvanized tubing for the spreaders that the spreaders slide onto. So it's probably, it's feather light, dude. You can lift it with just your little finger. Over.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good idea. I've got options. The cobweb's 10 foot. Is it 10 foot square? That's why I thought about going for the cobweb, because that would fit in no problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's the octopus. MJF octopus.
Yep, I've seen that. I don't know anything about it, though.
No, No, but it might be worth a try.
Okay. Let me throw this out there, and I don't know. When I had the rotator problems this week, I was really pissed off. You know how you get when you're irritated and you don't really want to go out and play with an antenna that's supposed to work all the time. Well, it was stuck in the south, pointing south, and we've got contest season and the special events coming up, and I had to fix it. So I got thinking, I thought, well, if I can't get the rotator fixed, there's one option. I will take it off the rotator and stick it on a piece of tubing and literally bolt it right to the carriage on the tower and point it at Europe and leave it there. The other option was to go with which would be super tiny, man. This would be a small array. And I'm actually thinking about just doing this and taking the hex down because it would eat the hex for lunch. Just like the 40-meter array, pull it up in 2 trees, point it northeast and southwest, and switch it northeast and southwest. Just a delta loop array. If you think about it, they'd be spaced 10 feet apart. And, you feed it, and you kind of get it oriented between 4 connection points. And I could actually pull it up higher than where the hex is. And I know it would do really well. I'm trying to come up with an option for you that's different. If you couldn't do a cobweb, what could you do in its place? The problem is that they're folded, right? They're like a folded dipole, so the space they take up is very small compared to like a half-wave dipole. So it's a dilemma, isn't it?
It is. It is, but I'll overcome it. Yeah, give it another month, and I'll start experimenting.
Yeah, it's an important. This is a huge topic because not everybody has a lot of room to play with, right? People don't have all this room to play with. So what do you do? Verticals are verticals. Yes, they're compact. To be honest with you, dude, I've said this to a bunch of people. I don't know if you remember, I'll throw this out there for anybody listening. Maybe it's an idea for them. I used to listen to the Hurricane WatchNet, and this was a year ago, this past fall, when the Caribbean got wiped out from all those hurricanes, horrific circumstances. Puerto Rico, those Caribbean islands got absolutely decimated, like a nuclear bomb went off down there. And I used to listen to this guy in Florida that was net control for the Hurricane WatchNet. And believe it or not, he was running out of a condo with a Tar Heel screwdriver on the roof of his condo with a bunch of metal, I think they were cookie sheets he had underneath it. And it was camouflage. And he said you couldn't even see it up there. Unless you knew what you were looking for, you could not see that antenna. You should have freaking heard the signal that he put in here, dude. He was down in Florida, and I'm up here in Vermont, up in the northeast. He's southeast. And I'll tell you what, man, that's an option for people. If they don't have a lot of room, get yourself a Yaesu ATAS or a Tar Heel screwdriver. Or if you're really cheap, build yourself one. Like what I did on the car. I used basically a loading coil, manually tuned loading coil with a 102-inch whip. I'll tell you what, Johnson, that thing freaking kicked butt. So that's an option as well. And you'll get 40. I actually made a bunch of contacts on 80 on that when I was in the car, and it's tiny. It's small. It's a 102-inch whip on a loading coil, basically. And, so really that's the only other option.
Yeah. It'll soon come. But I'm looking forward to playing with different antennas and getting the best results.
Yeah, I wish you luck there. Go ahead, Martin. I'll put it over to you, man. Pick it up. No audio, Martin. Unmute.
Yeah, so the laptop was connected to 2 screens. I was on the other screen just now, so nothing was working. Yeah, typical. Yeah, the other thing with my antenna, I've got no grounding on there at the moment. I've got no radials running from it. This say works fine, receives fine. But luckily at my disposal, of course, I've got a lathe and a mill here, so I'll be making up my own core loaded based antenna for mobile. Whilst I was on holiday, even I run a 4-to-1 unhun, 16.5 foot of wire up to the 7-meter pole, and that got me to the west coast of America.
You're muted again. Yeah, you're muted again, Martin.
Now you're muted.
Oh yeah, I muted.
I can hear both of you.
Okay, this is like a circus, isn't it? I love this 3-ring circus. John's laughing over there, and it looks like Martin's feed just froze. So West Coast, see, that's what I'm saying. Don't ever disregard or poo-poo an NFED. I don't know how those freaking things work, but you know.
I could hear the West Coast this morning.
Really? On what band was that?
That was 3. What's that? 80 meters, isn't it? 80-meter band this morning at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock UK time.
Wow. West Coast. Okay, so if you're hearing like that, I'd run with it, to be honest with you. I would.
But I could only transmit on that piece of, mind you, when I've got my foundation license, it's only 10 watts maximum, isn't it, I think?
Oof.
And yeah, until I do my intermediate. But yeah, if you can hear it, there's a good chance you can work it.
Yep, if you can find someone who's willing to take the time to dig out the weak signals, that's a huge thing. That's why you'll always see me do that, because it's part of the. There are a lot of folks, you know, just encourage you. If somebody just blows you off, just move on. Don't even waste your time with them, because that's not really what the hobby is all about. You know, there are guys that are limited in the power they can run. They're limited with the antennas they can put up. If you can hear them and you hear somebody in there, give it a few shots, man. You know, try to work them. It may not happen, but at least give it a shot. You know, John, go EL2 EBB. John, it's all yours, man. Take it. Unmute.
Testing. Am I on?
You got it, man. All yours.
Oh man, so many buttons here. It's mad. Yeah, this is so cool. I can't believe it. Yeah, last time you were on, actually, first thing last week, and I couldn't find the camera, so found it today and plugged it in and did a few tests on it. So glad to say that it's working, and it's just the coolest thing. This is, I mean, when you had so many screens on there last week and so many people on, but now that I got the buttons right, this is so cool. Yeah, but I was missing the chat on the other screen there, the sidebar of YouTube, and just so you know, there are comments from all the people in different parts of the world just coming on with their input there on if you couldn't get through on the Jitsi system. But this is so cool. I can't believe it. But yeah, it's a great hobby for. I mean, as I said, I drifted in and out of it over the years, and I'm back now with a vengeance. And because years ago, before the European Communications Regulatory Body, they changed the need for Morse code. So, you know, in order to get, back in the day when I started, in order to change from a B class to A class, you have to do the test, the Morse test. And so the European community, the CEPT, got rid of the need for the license for the Morse test, and they automatically gave anyone who was a B class the to get on HF. But just for personal achievement, I want to do the CW, and because I think it's just the coolest thing. I mean, back in the day, learning about the history there, both my grandparents, my grandfathers were radio operators in the war, in the First World War. So I think it's in my blood. So I'm definitely going to give it a go, and I feel I'd like to get it done and do it this year. So I set a target and say, you know, it looks easy enough. Take the time. It's only 26 letters and 10 numbers, so, and then a few abbreviations. So I'm going to give it my best shot. All I got to get now is the straight key and start learning on that. So it's all ahead of me. But do you have any hints and tips on CW?
I don't do CW, and I'm kicking myself because if you want to play this game, we're at the bottom of cycle 24. We all know that. And if you're going to play this game and you're going to try to work the exotic DX, you've got to do CW, man. FT8 is junk, in my opinion, compared to CW. CW has that penetrating quality to it. The zombie, the FT8 zombie, you got to do the CW because you can. What is the efficiency? It's like 20-something% more efficient than phone, or more. I can't remember what the numbers are. You guys probably answer that, but yeah, like 160. I'll tell you what, if I knew CW, I'd probably be working places I never would have dreamed on 160 meters if I knew CW. That is the CW band. 80 meters? Oh, yeah. Pretty much any of the bands, but yeah, hats off to you, man. I would, don't let anybody discourage you on that. I just press in on it. Over.
Stream. Cool. Very good. Oh, this is class. Very good. So where's here we go. Yeah, Martin, you in across the water in the UK there?
My internet keeps dropping out.
Are you across the water in the UK?
I'm in the UK.
Maybe I get to work in one of these days then.
I hear over there in Ireland quite regularly.
Sweet. Where you about a Brummie accent? Is that Birmingham?
I ain't no Brummie. I'm an Englishman.
Okay, sorry, Chief.
I'm in southeast London. I'm not far from the Dartford crossing.
Okay, fair play, yeah. Well, I should be able to work here, so.
Should be, I'll say, 20 metres, 40 metres, 80 metres here in Ireland every day.
Sweet, pretty good, yeah. Oh.
I'll get a webcam for next week.
My thoughts, yeah, FTA is rubbish. Yep, I had loads. It's why I stopped using it. I had loads. It start the sequence, wouldn't finish my end, but it finished their end, getting loads and loads of EQSLs from people where it never completed. So that's one of the reasons I give it up. I thought I ain't having none of this anymore. I'm getting fed up with it, and you know, and it's boring. You just sit there, wait for the next one. Yes, it log that one. Next one, log that one. Next one, log that one. But when it comes to CW, I can do about one word every minute if I'm lucky, and that's CQ. Yes, yeah, it's exactly the same sort of thing as the FTA, but you can interact using the keyboard. But then using the HRD, you can do CW with the keyboard as well. Yes, it works. I tried it. I've done a couple of bits, basically putting out CQ test on the reverse beacon, and it comes back. It's been across Europe, so I will be trying it later on.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. I forgot to unmute my microphone on YouTube. I have too much. If you guys saw what I have in front of me, you'd be like, dude, hang it up. You don't have the freaking processing power in your skull to be able to handle this. And I don't, because I just looked over. I saw somebody, Bill said unmute. I muted the audio on OBS because I have multiple feeds. So there's, anyways, I'm not going to get into it. CW, it actually works. I can't believe it. How hard is it to set up?
Not much different to the PSK. It's there. Obviously, you've got the settings. You can do it for sending all the stuff. Do it via, obviously, competitions and stuff like that. Or you have it set so as you're typing, it's sending it.
So how does it decode? Does it decode accurately?
Yeah, that's the one thing. It's not 100% accurate. Well, I've not found it to be 100% accurate, but there is another program, which MP40, I think it's called. That decodes a heck of a lot better because it gets rid of a lot of the hash and everything else that's coming through from the radio. You get none of it because the PC is doing it all.
Okay. Now, does it depend on signal strength? Is that a real key? Like the weaker signals decode, which makes sense, right, logically, but or is it just the nature of the software? It's just kind of wonky when it comes to that.
The HRD, it's on those weak signals. It's rubbish. It really is bad. The other program is a lot better on the weak signals. I've had signals that are sort of like 1 to 3, and that other program's decode them no problem. Where the HRD won't even touch it.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting. Yes, Bill, W3WDR said that they claim you can use the keyboard. There's one comment I saw in the chat. Let me address this really quick. I have a remote antenna tuner that I can use close to the antenna, put over the long wire antenna. Joe, this is for you, Joe Wilson. That's the way to go. If you have a remote tuner, general consensus is you want the tuner as close to the feed point as you can get it. In the shack is, you know, if that's where you have to put it, that's where you have to put it. But yeah, these remote tuners that work at the antenna, oh yeah, run with that. So I figured I'd respond to that. Keyboard. So how is that, Martin?
I'm not a very good typer, so it's bad for me as well.
That's the problem I see, is I don't know. I mean, these guys moving at 20 to 30 words per minute, how does that work?
Very tiring, because you still hard to understand. You're reading it, as you're reading it, it's like, hang on, we're going on the next one.
What about voice typing? Speak to it and it'll type it for you.
I've heard about that, but I've never tried it.
Greg, explain on that one.
Yeah. Well, I know on my phone I can talk to it, it'll type a message out and I can send it. Surely there should be something for CW that way, or vice versa. And PSK, can you explain that, because that's new to me?
PSK, great mode, dude. Awesome mode, but unfortunately everybody is in a stupor drinking the FT8 Kool-Aid right now. They are all in on FT8. PSK has pretty much gone quiet. Now, that being said, this was what, 3 months ago? 3 or 4 months ago, I decided, you know what, I'm going to see if I can drum up some activity on PSK. I got on PSK, I can't remember what band it was, maybe 40 meters, and I started calling CQ on PSK, and you know what? After about a half hour, there were 6 of us in there, and it was dead quiet. So I would say go, it's a great mode. Olivia's a good mode as well. Olivia's great. It's a very slow mode, which is very good for marginal band conditions. You know, it's very, sometimes fast isn't good. You know what I'm saying? You need something really slow that kind of plunks along there.
Okay.
You know, so just because you don't find, go online, find the allocated frequencies for PSK and whatever band you're going to go on, get on there and just start calling CQ. I guarantee you somebody comes back.
Yeah, all these digital modes, I've not got a clue about any of it at the moment. It's all new to me.
Yeah, John McGinnis says that's cheating in regards to the CW thing. That's the, you know what? I don't care. I don't care if it helps me make a contact. Now, you know, okay, I'm gonna throw this at John, EL2. Is that you, John, that posted that in the chat? EI2 EBB? Is that the one? Are you the John that said it was cheating? I agree, dude. And
Same guy, yeah.
That's funny, man. Because yeah, it is. In my eyes, it's cheating. There's some things in ham radio that are just pure. You want to keep pure, and that's CW. You know, I mean, would I ever do it with a keyboard and a mouse? Heck yeah. I would do that in a second. But do I feel guilty? A little. I do.
Try it.
Let's be honest. I mean, you know, I'm not going to blow friggin' smoke up anyone's butt. Would I do it? Heck yeah. If it helped me make if that helped me, if that helped me get a contact in freaking Tokyo, you're damn straight I would do that. You see what I'm saying? I use whatever means necessary as long as it's over the air. Hey, I'm full tilt boogie with that. Over.
I'm in Japan on FTA.
Freaking FT8. They ought to ban that mode. I can say that because I use it all the time, but I hate it. I'm going to go to my grave. You know what my last thoughts are? When I'm laying on my deathbed, my thought is going to be, I cannot believe, Steve, how much time you spent watching freaking paint dry with that mode. I mean, honestly, I wasted hours of my life on that stinking mode, and I'm trying to force myself off of it, but it's like crack, isn't it? It's like crack. When you start doing it, it's hard to stop. And case in point, look at the number, go on to any one of the bands and look at the amount of activity on FT8. And then look at all the other portions of the band where, like Olivia and PSK and all the other, there's nothing there. It's all in FT8. Point made.
Yeah, FT8, it's there 24 hours a day.
Yeah. It's like a skid mark. That's really bad, but
coffee.
Any other thoughts? I got to go get me a whiskey and ginger ale because this is spiraling out of control, and I need to kind of. I can see all the links dropping right now. Everybody's signing out of the chat.
It's been fun. Yeah.
All right, you guys, anything else? Free for all. You guys go, and when you tell me I'm done, or you're done, I'm going to shut her down. Good to see you guys, 7-3, and thanks for jumping in. And maybe we can get some more folks in here. This Jitsi thing is a little wonky. I think if I had my own server running here, which is coming in the future, it'll be really, really good. You won't see any of the dropouts or anything weird happening, but I got to have a friend help me with that.
Yeah, I've got a nice new PC to connect up, but I want to sort out power supply and everything for it, like yours. But your 7300 should decode your CW.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yep. And, you know, have I told you this before? See this? I built that. Can you believe that? I actually made that. It's all brass hardware. And, you know, I'm giving myself a pat on the back. Look at. I'm patting myself on the back right now. I'm like, Steve, you did something. You made something like this. It doesn't mean jack, because guess what I use it for? Loading up the amplifier. That's it.
Wait.
That is pathetic, isn't it? And it actually works really good. It's got a great feel. You know? Absolutely disgusting. So maybe someday when I get my big boy pants on, I get out of the diapers, I'll actually start learning CW. That's for you.
I'll be playing around with making a nice key, but I have a nice bit of access to cameras to work. I can't even see what it's doing myself. But I've got a lathe set in there. And I've got a nice big machine.
Ooh, holy cow, you got a full-blown machine shop, dude. That is awesome.
This is the machine room shack.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna hire you to build some stuff. You ought to be making stuff up the wazoo with that stuff sitting there.
I do. I make bits and pieces.
Wow.
And there's the lathe.
All you guys pay attention, because this is that right there is valuable equipment in this hobby. That is that's killer. What's that?
TIG. It's a TIG welder.
I was going to say it looks like a welder. I see the cables coming out of it. Yeah, don't show that picture. That's disturbing. So many fronts. John, yeah. I built that. It needs to be polished. Basically brass, built it cheap. This is a piece of, this top section is a piece of Lexan. Unbreakable. You can smash it with a hammer and it won't break. And just black hardware, and believe it or not, this is a doorknob from a drawer pull. And this is just a piece of brass bar stock. Brass hardware, spring, contact points for the key, and That's it. Really, really simple. I built that 3 years ago with these visions of grandeur to get into CW, and I haven't progressed any further because I'm half out of my mind most of the time. Hence the maniac. Anyways, you guys go. You guys go ahead and tie it off. I'm going to shut it down. Good to see you all. Good to see everybody in the stream. I'll kind of address some things in the stream, but I'll do it through the chat room. And you guys go ahead and carry on. And when you tie it off and you sign out, I'll kill it. Good to see you guys. Thanks for jumping in.
Good to see you too, Steve. Thanks very much. Been entertaining.
Yeah, thank you. You guys made it. So thank you. Thanks much. And everybody else in the chat as well. 7-3, guys.
Yep, 73. We'll see you later. Speak later.
Yeah, all the best, everybody.
Good night.
Oh.
Until we do it again.
Yeah, peace out. Oh, man.
Mississippi, yeah. I think it's K1GMM. Correct me if I'm...
Thank you very much. And you lost transmission 10 dB overnight. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you very much. 73. Bye-bye. 73. Bye-bye. Go ahead, Angel. Let me see. Fox 6, Delta Zulu United. You hear, Bert? Roger, my apologies about that. Many station there. Well, we'll try that. Sugar Papa, go ahead. Sugar Papa 8, we just missed the letter. Sugar Papa 8, Alpha, question mark, Yankee? Yeah, Roger there. Okay, nice to meet you there. Sugar Papa 8, Alpha Radio, Yankee. You're about 5 and 9, 59 here, Roger. Yeah, Roger, Roman. Please call my friend Whiskey Alpha 2, Yankee there, Roman, Roger. Sugar Papa 8, Alpha Radio Yankee, Whiskey Alpha 2, Victor United Yankee. Hey, you're 5 and 4, 5-4 New Jersey, QSL. Or something. QRZDX, Whiskey Alpha 2, Victor United Yankee. Something, Florida? Oh, you pick them up. I think it's a German station, Bert. Ja, Roger, Delta Foxtrot 2, Uniform nog eenmaal. Ja, Roger, schönen guten Abend da. Delta Fox 3, Uniform, Mike, du bist 5:09 da. 5:09, Frank, Roger? Ja, Roger, fabulous. Sehr gut da, Frank. Du bist 5:09 plus 10 dB oder 9. Und wir haben die Funkgerät hier nur an Jesu FTDX 9000 Delta. Ungefähr 1 Kilowatt mit einer 3-Elemente Monobande da, Frank, Roger? Roger da. Okay, give my friend Whiskey Alpha 2 Victor United Yankee a call there. His call is Delta Fox 3 Uniform Mike, Angel. Whiskey 3. Echo Papa 2 Charlie for my What is the frequency? 7095. Echo Papa 2 Charlie. Wake up. Whiskey Alpha 2, Victor United Yankee. Again? India Whiskey 3, Sugar Kilo X-ray. Italia Whiskey 3, Sugar Kilo X-ray, 57. Okay, Roger, Roger. Whiskey America 2, Victor United.
Okay, Billy. Well, that's
He's a good guy. So is your AL...
You guys stand by just for a second.
hold on just a minute here. We're doing a little test. My name is Ron, R-O-N. I'm located just west of St. Louis. I'm on with a friend of mine, W0YVA, and he's testing a real old transmitter. And so give us a minute here. We'll welcome your reports also. So stand by, please.